There you go. Welcome, everybody, to the Power of Active Coaching webinar.
Woo!
Yeah.
The
Well,
power of 2023 coming to a close with coactive coaching.
yes, exactly. Last webinar of the year. Hard to imagine. While we wait for folks to arrive, take a moment and pop in chat. Let us know where you're calling from, so we have a sense of where you are. I myself am based in Southwestern Ontario, Canada.
I am in New York City in Queens on the East Coast here, hoping for not too much snow, but really grateful to be here with you all.
Yeah. I was just saying we actually have snow in Southwestern Ontario. I'm not quite sure what to make of it because we were calling for a green Christmas. So I don't know what's going.
Well,
Gonna
maybe Los
be-
Altos, California will give us some green Christmas. We got the Hudson Valley, Oakland. All right, Cleveland, place where I was born and raised. But then we fly all the way to Bucharest in Romania. Welcome.
I'm seeing lots of India represented as well. My heritage is Indian, so I'm always happy to see that. Welcome
Germany.
everybody. Wow. Such a
And
global audience. Yeah, nice.
well, Gail, maybe we should go to Boca Raton. I think that's probably a perfect time of year
Let's
to be
let's
going.
do it. Let's do it. I'm with you, Edwin. Seattle,
Phoenix,
yeah.
Goa. Wow, truly global. I mean, one thing that we're so grateful about the interaction of Zoom, and we do deliver courses online, is that we're getting to reach people all over the world, which is really the main mission of Coactive. How do we get it to everyone in the world? And our classes are back in person. So if you're watching this, keep out and look out for classes that may be in a town, in your town you live in, or a town near you. It's a hallmark of how Coactive is delivered. So we want you to have both frame of references as we're here in this webinar, that both options are available, and we know that both are very powerful in delivering some coach training.
Absolutely. We're loving the online experience. It makes our courses available to folks who may have some challenges with travel or what have you. And it doing it in person is great for folks who are able to get there because there's an added element of being in person that I think all of us are missing in the world and longing for. So yay for both options.
Absolutely. You know, Gail, we have a little bit of time here since folks are gathered. How
Yeah.
about Susan, if you could put this question in the chat box. What might be a dream you have for 2024? A new year that starts here in about 13 days or so. What's a dream that you have maybe for yourself or for something you're a part of? Like no boundaries, no limitations. What's a dream you have?
While you're thinking of that, oh, lovely, Anna. Um, Shashanka, I see your question. Are hybrid options available? I would reach out to customer service to explore that more deeply. My understanding is that you could do a course in person and then another course online, but you can't split any individual courses. I think there's some different parameters around that. So I would reach out to CX, customer experience, and have them tell you that. Get some people wanting to be coactive coaches, starting
Yeah, get
coaching
some group
training.
coaching going as
Yeah, a lot of
well,
coaching
being
happening.
healthier and better self. Woo!
Yeah, new baby, yay. Closer to professional fulfillment. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, Sarah, you know, these rules of basketball, that might take a while. Just letting you
Yeah,
know. I've gone across the pond to learn the rules of football over there, and that was a
yeah,
challenge too. So good luck.
yeah. It's doable. It is doable, and it takes a little bit. Yeah. Oh, love that. Getting my garden in on time this year. Nice, nice.
Mhm.
Let's Edwin, I'm longing for our webinar viewers to get a sense of who we are. So why don't you and I introduce ourselves, and then we can
Yeah.
go from there and give folks a sense of
Well,
what.
and Gail, to be fair, let's have you start off with what's your dream for 2024 as
Okay,
you do your intro.
my dream for 2024. Nothing like putting me on the spot. So I'm going to be honest. I don't have a concrete, solidified dream. I'm one of those people. I choose a theme each year. haven't chosen a new theme for the last couple of years. Like I've lived into one theme for several, but I'm noticing that my theme for 2024, the one that's calling me, is unstoppable. But not unstoppable in the sense of like blowing blowing things to pieces or whatever. It's unstoppable in the sense of sourcing the energy to do what I want to do, which requires me to stop. It's a bit of a paradox. So learning to build in those buffers and reconnecting and just having that full sense of like, yeah, ease. Ease is what I've always been about historically, reclaiming that for 2024. What about you?
Nice.
I'll say more about me in a minute.
I'm getting this urge around really bringing people together in the coactive community. I have a dream of probably a conference to happen in the next 2 or 3 years where we actually gather in person and up level how we coach, how we be with each other, and also source what people are up to in the world and making a difference. So
Yeah.
that's kind of percolating for me. I might plant some seeds around that in 2024.
Beautiful. Nice. Look at us dreaming our way into the new year. I'll give a little bit of a sense of who I am. So Gail Barker is my name. I have been in the land of coactive since 2020 or 2020, 2001, and leading courses for CTI for the last 3 years. In addition to my own coaching practice, where I coach leaders and support them in, to use a canned phrase, leading at the work that they love while loving the life that they lead. While I do that, I also work half-time for CTI as a faculty development team member. So I support our faculty. I wear a DEI lens, looking at our programs and our courses through that lens, our leadership, how we show up. And what else do I want to say? I live in Southwestern Ontario. I have 2 young adult children who are launching themselves into the world, and my husband just recently retired, so there's a whole level there that's happening in the background of my life. Yeah, that's probably enough for folks to know about me. What about you?
Let's see, Edwin Vega, living in New York City, in Queens, particularly in a neighborhood called Sunnyside. So if you've ever flown to LaGuardia Airport, just about 10 minutes away. I am Puerto Rican. I am in the same cohort with Gail in terms of joining CTI's faculty in 2019. Let's see, in the world of coaching, I go into organizations, primarily pharmaceutical companies and tech companies, to work with leaders. A lot of it is about how they're leading themselves and how to better upscale their leadership effectiveness across teams and whatnot. Also doing team conferences and things like that. And another big part of my heart work is around children. So I go into schools and communities to teach adults coaching skills and how they can actually support youth on a weekly basis, with the ultimate goal that they will then coach a student for 20 minutes every week. So for me, that's a big part of my world. I love children. I just, ever since I remember holding kids when I was 6 years old, as a young kid, I was holding babies, which just was so interesting. And I just felt the love since then. So it's a big part of my work to how do we impact young people, a big part of my mission in life. I also am committed to the spirit of DEI and really expanding that in our coaching profession, not only at CTI. I'm also on the leadership faculty, where we have a 10-month residential retreat program. We have 4 retreats over 10 months where we really help you grow your inner leader. And you also learn how to do the dance that Gail and I are doing. At every coactive class or event you'll go to, there'll be 2 leaders always engaged in that role of being your co-leaders. And there's a special magic to it. While we don't have a particular script of you go here and I go there, it's very free flowing and very just very lovely to be in a relationship like this in a coactive way. So we hope that you enjoy that as well.
Yeah. So happy to be here with you, Edwin, and excited to be with all of you as we demonstrate for you a possible tool that you might use in coactive. So let's give you a sense of what to expect over the next 60 minutes or so. We're gonna take you through a couple of slides here. So, it's all about the power of coactive coaching, and coactive coaching is a particular model of coaching that blends both the doing, the skills, and the being, how we show up, and they get blended together in this synergistic way that ends up having folks coach in an entirely different way. It's not about problem solving. And in fact, one of our elders who is no longer with us, Jim Patterson, one of his favorite quotes, or I make up it's his favorite, it's my favorite, he's the one who said it, is we do not coach for a problem to be solved, we coach for a life to be lived. And that's what coactive coaching is all about, getting our clients, our colleagues, everyone to be able to live their life fully, knowing that as they do so, problems will get solved. And it's not the focus of what we do.
If you're in a corporate setting, Gail's really talking about vertical development. In horizontal development, we teach someone a particular skill to get something they want, to get over the line. But in coactive coaching, we're actually focused on vertical development. How do we grow people so much that they are in a different, more empowered relationship to their obstacles and what they want more of? So, in the realm of vertical development, we're really focusing how do we grow their connection to their life purpose, the thing that they're here on earth to do? How do we get them more connected to their values, not only in their life, but also in their work life, so that there's less of a barrier between my work life and my personal life, so that you get to walk empowered and embodied in all the aspects of the life that you go in. That's the excitement that we're bringing to coactive coaching.
Because here's the thing, life cannot actually be compartmentalized. We can do a little bit of trying to think of it
Gail,
in
say
different
that
realms.
again. Hold on, Gail. Say that again.
Life cannot actually be compartmentalized. As much as we do this thing where we're like, I'm going to leave my work life at work and bring my home life home and vice versa. We are whole human beings. And what's happening in any one area of our life is going to be impacting everything else. And so coactive coaching is about having people live full, empowered, rich lives. So let's give you a sense of what to expect today. Yeah. So, we're gonna go through a definition of what coaching is. We'll do that in a minute. Edwin's going to do a live demo that utilizes a particular coaching tool that we have in the coactive model. It's used elsewhere as well, but he's going to demo how to work with that. As he does, you'll experience several coaching skills. You might even be able to pull them out, and we'll have a bit of a debrief afterwards where we share, some of the ins and outs of what we did, what Edwin did, how he did them. And then we'll answer some questions if you've got those. There is a question box, I believe, down below. So you can pop those, and our back of room leaders will sort of capture those so that we can answer those during the Q&A session. And then we'll go from there. Now, there's a thing that we do in coactive coaching where what we call designing our alliance. And this is something that co-leaders do together. It's also something we do with our participants when we're in a course room. We design how we're going to be together and how we're going to be when things get tough and all of that sort of thing. And we have a few things that we want to design with you so that you're aware of how we're going to be with you in this experience. The first thing, Edwin already said it. We're co-leading this, Edwin and I, and none of this is scripted at all. So, we might trip over each other. I might step on Edwin's toes. He might step on mine. And that's part of this coactive dance, particularly in the Zoom space. It's a little harder to read when another colleague wants to say something. And so if we trip over each other, we're used to that and we'll just dance with it.
Yeah, there's something Gail's highlighting is 1+1 in coactive equals infinity. I could lead this by myself and it would be fine. Gail could lead this by herself and actually be really good. But when we come together to do it together, there's something that we couldn't even have dreamt would be possible. So, and when we say that, we actually are including you in this, whether you're watching a recording of this, whether you're here live, actually you being here and participating in the chat, in the Q&A, supporting our demo as it's going on, you're actually a part of this alliance as we're designing it here, because we know that you're bringing something to it. So we can be scripted. If we're scripted, we would miss out on everything you can bring. Now, typically in a coaching relationship, we'll have confidentiality. We would make sure everyone agrees to confidentiality. Given this is a webinar, it's not confidential. Our demo client has agreed for this coaching to not be confidential. So they are aware of that as well and kind of know the rules of the game there as well.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of context, the other thing to know about our volunteer client is that they're bringing a real topic for this coaching session. So, and this is true even in our courses, our leaders will bring topics and our participants will bring topics. And our request is always that topics are real. This isn't something, when I'm co-leading a course, I'm not making up a topic to get coached on. I am actually bringing something that's real and live in my life so that our participants are able to practice coaching with something that's real and alive in my life. Right? It's what makes it meaningful to be able to engage in something in real time.
There's something really cool about that. One, obviously, you're here because you want to learn how to coach, get some more coaching skills, even people who are already coaches. In our classes, you're going to be coached 5 to 6 times in any given 3-day course. So the value alone of that is actually pretty high. So you can imagine then we're adding in this extra element of like formal training and whatnot. So in the context of this, we just know it's really great to bring a real topic. I'll be the coach. I have not met this person, so this will be an initial, okay, let's just jump into a coaching topic that really matters to the coaching demo. We'll set that up later, but just know that that's coming up ahead.
Yeah. And, it's important to know, one of the tools that we'll be using is called the Wheel of Life. The volunteer client has had a prep call with our assistants to introduce them to the Wheel of Life and to pick a topic. So they know where they're headed. They know what we're moving towards. Let's move to the next slide. Let's talk about the definition of coaching. This is the definition according to the ICF. You can see it on your screen for those who perhaps aren't looking at their screen. I'll read that. Coaching is partnering with individuals in a thought-provoking, creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And some of the key words that I love in this definition is partnering and personal and professional potential. Partnership is so important, I think. Edwin, in so many of our spaces, we're used to hierarchies being in place, people with positions of power utilizing that power either over or for, or maybe with people that they're with. But in coaching, it's not about power, it's about partnering. It's about partnership. And that is such a unique way to operate in the world. If you're coaching meaningfully, then you're partnering with your client. You're not telling them what to do. You're not demanding things of them. You're co-creating a process that helps them to move on to whatever's next for them, personally, professionally, all areas of their lives.
It's funny because I too have words that stick out from this definition from the International Coaching Federation. For me, creative process is one. Like we really don't know what might come up, where this might lead. Also, I used to be a professional opera singer. That's a part of my past in my life, and so creativity is almost home base. And we actually believe that everyone has access to creativity, whether you're putting different colors in the salad to make it look like a rainbow, or you make up a game with your 3-year-old in the middle of nothing, and now you're playing a fun game where everyone's giggling. We all have creative access. And so as a coach, we actually want to make sure we empower everyone in our community to really tap into that as a kind of natural way of being.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what I would underscore is coaching is not problem solving. Coaching is not consulting. Coaching is not mentoring. And so that's not to say that I don't have those sorts of relationships with some of my clients, but I am really clear with my clients about when we are engaging in coaching and when we are engaging in consulting and when we are engaging in mentoring, because they are different pieces. They all serve a purpose. Coaching has this particular purpose of being in partnership and maximizing personal and professional potential.
Yeah, when I think of coactive coaching, I actually see it also, which really is something that makes coactive coaching special in the world of other coach trainings, is about processing emotions when they come up. We
Absolutely.
don't step over emotions. We actually believe that coaching a client on their emotions is healthy, is productive, and actually helps the client step more fully into their world. So it's something unique that one of our courses, our fourth course by the name of Process, is really about processing emotions. So it's something unique in the world of coactive. So for us, that's what we really mean by coactive coaching as well. We include emotions.
Yeah, we include everything, right? I love what you said earlier. We don't step over it. If it's in the space, we name it. We decide with our client, is it something that needs to get looked at? And we support our client right where they are. We're not pushing them through anything. We're not pulling them through anything. We are hanging out with them and creating whatever it is that needs to get created. Yeah. Um, there's a specific coaching tool that we're going to use. It's called the Wheel of Life. And so this slide that has been popped up gives an example of a completed wheel of life. So it's this circle, that's the wheel, with 8 sections that together represent the entirety of someone's life. Notice that while they are wedges, it's not, no wedge stands on its own. Each impacts another. And what our clients do is they evaluate for themselves how satisfied they are in each of these areas. So level of satisfaction is a key piece of this wheel, as opposed to quantity. This is not a quantitative assessment, it's a qualitative assessment. So if we look at the wheel of money, this is where it can often get collapsed together. This is not about how much money our client makes. Instead, this is about how satisfied they are with the role that money has in their life and how they play with money, right? So I've had clients who make, $30,000 a year who would rate their level of satisfaction as a 9. And I've had clients who make, 500,000 a year who would rate it at a 2. And neither is good or bad. It's just knowing, what are my levels of satisfaction with these different areas, and what is a result in terms of the wheel, right? Like if we look at this filled in portion, Edwin, this is a pretty bumpy ride. If you and I were going on a bicycle ride together, I'm thinking we're not getting very far.
But it'll roll, Gail. It'll
It'll roll.
roll. You
It'll
can
be
see what Gail is
bumpy.
highlighting. It's so important when you're using this tool to fill that out from a place of current satisfaction in this moment. Coaching is about what's going on right now and what are we wanting? Where do we go forward with this? So we need the client to provide us with a snapshot of what does life balance look like for them? Maybe it is bumpy, but in some areas, it's really smooth. And within that, then we use this to see where might the client want to have more satisfaction in their life. And they may say, like, I want more satisfaction in money. As a coach, I wouldn't say, oh, well, it's the 8 already. That's already pretty satisfying. It's like, oh, great. What does the 8 look like? You really jump in to follow the client.
Yeah. I want to underscore that, Edwin, because I think for newer coaches in particular, that can be such a hard thing to remember. This is, I don't get to make assumptions as a coach. I don't get to look at this and go, oh, client definitely wants to work on health because it's the quote unquote lowest level of satisfaction. My client gets to decide where's the place that they want to put their energy, knowing that as they put energy in any one area, it's going to impact other areas in some way, shape, or form. So we meet the client where they're at, we co-create with them in service of their growth, their expansion, their aliveness.
You can hear Gail's focus on the client, right? Really being the main focus, not my own ideas of what they should do. This Wheel of Life is actually a great tool also when a client doesn't have an idea for a topic. I've had this. A client comes and they're like, I don't know what I want coaching on. And it's like, it's been like 5 months since we started coaching. Let's bring out the Wheel of Life. And then something gets revealed in this wheel of like, oh, you know what? I really do want to focus on fun and recreation. I want some more satisfaction there. So it provides an entry point, not the main goal, the only focus, but it provides a doorway to start a coaching session as well. So this is why I want to offer this tool to you as we transition to our demo coaching.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Let's move over to our demo client. Edwin, in a moment, our client is going to join us on stage. Edwin is going to demo for all of you how you might work with the Wheel of Life with a client. And when he's done, we'll do a bit of a debrief to highlight some of the skills that we saw Edwin use, what strategies he incorporated. I'd invite you to watch, like, our client is going to have a great, very compelling story. And while it would be tempting to get hooked into our client's story, my request is that you watch Edwin. Watch what he's doing as a coach so that you can learn for yourself how he interacts with a client. Edwin, I'm going to turn my camera off until you are
Okay,
done.
great.
Okay?
Perfect. And just to set up the audience here as our volunteers here, we'd love for you as the audience to actually be present to the moment. You might take personal notes, but I'm going to hold off on using the chat during the demo so that you can be really present. And go present so that you can see and listen beyond my words. You can hear beyond my words to just notice what's going on in the coaching so that you can really focus. We'll debrief later in the chat to see what you're learning, what skills you notice. Feel free to take notes on your own. But this way, Neil and I can be really fully focused as well in our coaching session. So, Neil, welcome, welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
Hey, nice to meet you. How you doing today?
Doing well so far.
Okay,
Feeling
great.
strong.
Okay. Ooh, feeling strong. Okay, that made me even sit up in my chair, so I'm kind of ready to go. Is there anything you need before we get really started up in our coaching here?
Now I'm ready.
All right. So, Neil, what are you ready for?
I'm coming this morning with a desire to explore some of my emotions and a situation that's my dad is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He's in his mid 80s. So we're in an end of life sort of chapter.
Yeah.
And he's far away from me. I'm in the US, he's in Europe. And I'm I don't think I've fully accepted the reality. I think I'm curious to just explore this morning what more I can what more I can do, who can I be other than someone who is feeling like I might have just normalized it a little bit too fast. Uh,
Mm,
it's not a public conversation inside the family. I have one of my sisters who I can sort of just open up to. But yeah, so I'm just exploring what else is present for me and what's uncovered. So I'm willing to just be exploring things around process and emotions.
yeah. And do we have permission just to go slower, even in the way that we're speaking, just to bring some slow tempo to how we're speaking so we can feel more present to this moment? I'm even noticing you even just lightening up as we say that.
Yeah, I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah. So even in that, in this moment here, what feels like, how do you want to best use our time during our coaching today? If you could just re-articulate in the slower tempo, connect it to your body.
Hmm. Um, Sort of peel away a layer or two of what I'm holding back, and try and get a little bit closer to dad and to expressing
Mm,
it's important to him.
mm. Yeah, I'm even feeling a little bit of the hesitation, but the emotion's like kind of right there. What's the emotion that you feel most present to right now?
Well, I don't know that it's an emotion, but I feel tight. I feel and fear.
Mm,
I think fear is definitely present. Um, yeah, and I'm not sure how it's stopping me, but there's definitely some withholding.
yeah. And where do you feel this tightness when you think of it? Where do you just, and even you can close your eyes if that helps you to get closer connected to your body in this moment. I'll join you here. Just scan your body. Where does this tightness live in you right now?
I would say abdomen.
Abdomen. So I'm going to invite you just to put a hand there or two and just breathe into the space. We don't need to change it. We don't need to fix it. It just gets to be in this moment, connecting deeply to our breath and even connecting to the things we love about our Father in this moment. And Neil, just staying present to this moment, what are you aware of just right now?
How much he's accomplished as a human. And when he was around, how much he gave to us, the family.
Mm. I'm going to put one hand on my heart just to kind of channel that heart energy as well here. I just sense like a lot of appreciation as you're just kind of connecting here and naming these gifts that he's given.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just connecting to yourself here. What are you aware of in this moment?
Well, in this moment, experiencing a deeper sense of appreciation for him, considering some of the challenges that our family has had. And for me, the last decade or so, opening up to being more willing to be in communication with him,
Mm,
discovering, kind of just, yeah, removing some of the barriers that have been getting in the way of me. Yeah, just being more present to him.
yeah. Imagine if we were going to physically remove barriers with some gesture and naming a barrier. Name some of these barriers that in this moment you just want to put aside. What would be some of those barriers for you?
Um, Challenges with my mother.
Okay. Challenges with your mother, just moving those aside. Feel free to do the gesture if it's helpful, but we just want to even have the experience of moving them away. What else would you like to move to the side here in this conversation?
The complexity of 2 families, 5 kids, 2 wives.
Family complexity. Yeah. And you might even do that slowly. Let's do that one again. The complexity of family. What else do you want to move aside so that we can just really connect to the love you have for your father?
Um, Multiple homes in multiple years. We moved a lot because of his work.
Great. So even moving a lot, just moving that aside. You might even take a second swipe, just moving that aside. Yeah. And just check in right now. What are you most aware of in this moment?
Um, what I'm aware of is the effectiveness of what we've just done. And I'm just making up that that doesn't have to be in the way of the next few minutes.
Hmm. Yeah. Imagine, we've physically cleared these out. We've mentally, even just in naming them, cleared it out. What might we see better now that we've done some of this clearing? Knowing there's probably more to clear, but just connect now in this moment. What seems more clear in this moment to you from your heart out?
Yeah, I was going to use the heart word as well. m- um, what feels clearer to me is easier access to my heart, my heart's
Mm,
my heart's wishes. That's what's
mm,
new. That's what's new.
yeah. So just really imagine if you had more access, easier access to your heart, how would that inform your decision, your situation with your dad? You had easier access, no barriers, no complications.
Um, Well, so I'm imagining it as a mechanism, and I'm imagining the relationship in between my mind and my heart, and how really my heart gets to step forward, turning the volume up on the heart's voice and turning the volume all the way down on all the chatter in my head and all the evaluation and all the, is this what I'm supposed to, rather than
Got it. So that turns down to, like, if we're doing the wheel all the way down to a 0, we're just gonna really turn that down.
pretty close, yes.
Yeah. What volume do we turn the heart up to? Like, if you could choose a number just right now out of 10, you get to choose, and laughter, love, joy, all of it. What would you put it at?
8, 9-ish.
Yeah. And what is life like at an 8, 9-ish when that volume of love is just really turned up?
So joy comes to mind. Joy, happiness, truth. Yeah, fun. My fun volume is pretty high up generally, but in the context of family, fun, wasn't always at a high volume. So those
So we're
things.
turning that one up too here, maybe in
Yeah,
this round. We're making room to turn it up, maybe.
exactly.
Yeah. And these three powerful words: joy, happiness, truth. From this 8 or 9, what do you know about those three words in the context of this coaching?
Um, can you phrase that differently? I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
how
It
to
seems
grapple
like
with that
you
question.
there's something powerful here about joy, happiness, and truth. There's this, I mean, those words just jumped out at me. And I'm wondering for you, how are they landing? What's vibrant there for you in those three words?
Well, I think I'm naming them and feeling them, wanting more of them, because I don't feel that they have had enough space in the context of my
Mm,
relationship with him. I want to come back to him. So that's not to say that there's been none. I just feel like in the context of, how do I handle his um, sort of slow progression into
mm,
dementia and Alzheimer's, you know, yeah, how do I navigate my way through the journey that
mm.
I have ahead?
Yeah. So what I just want to name, there's a high, I'm just saying, like, a high presence of vulnerability in what you're sharing. I want you to know, in doing this, you're actually kind of a beacon in some ways to others on this call as well, because you're willing to go in this light here. And I also don't want to make light or act like we're pushing away those realities. I want to kind of make those true. And in the middle of that, if you brought more joy to the situation, what would be present for you? What would we see, feel, or hear if there was more joy?
Did I hear you say what would we feel?
But you, no, this is all about you. Like, what would you feel? What would you do? What would be different if more joy was present?
Right. Well, I think I would have, yeah, I'd have to kind of design that, but I think I would essentially, my gut is sort of saying, oh, I would have more freedom, more comfort, more acceptance of my own self that I've fashioned a way, designed an alliance, a relationship with him that specifically doesn't currently exist. So, I'm wanting to step
Mm,
into something that I'm not currently doing because there's some things that are in the way. So, yeah, a lightness with the joy. It's almost like, and I don't really know how this really works, but because it's more of a me to him, there's not a whole lot of him to me. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that for now. So it's just more of, yeah, what does it look like? What do I do? So I think I heard you also prompt what I might do differently. Did I hear that correctly?
that could be an option of happiness and truth,
Yeah,
something that you might do. We're ending near the end of our time, and if that
yeah,
seems appropriate, that's one way to land our conversation.
yeah, no, no, great. Thank you. Um, yeah, I think it manifests in being even more proactive than I am being, regardless of the outcome.
Mm,
The place of not being too attached to the outcome, but feeling that the journey is really precious and important to both of us
mm,
in a very specific moment, because for him more than me, and probably it's just a lot of in the moment moments.
Yeah. And, for these past 15 minutes, you have been in the moment, and I have to say, there's like this strong sense that you are just really committed. I can just feel it.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope here. Even, you are carving a new path. So joy, happiness, truth. Yeah, what comes up even, I know we're ending our time here, but even some lightness comes up. What's going on over there as you hear those three words?
Just clarity, not just, remove just, clarity, and yeah, sort of fewer obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something here to, almost to invite you to keep making sure you're removing these obstacles. It may even be physical in some way. So here's a way to frame this, like, will you actually physically move obstacles when you find yourself, at least in a mindful way, getting caught up and snagging up? Yes, no, or counter offer. You can design this. What would be helpful for you?
Oh, yes, and it will be useful in several situations.
You can even apply to other ones. This is a joy of that. And then lastly, what's one thing you can codify joy, happiness, and truth for you? What's one way you want to lock that in for you going forward so that you remember the power of those three words?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that right now. How to
Maybe a
con
good takeaway.
I mean, my calendar reminds me of many things. It could live on my calendar and be repeated every few days so that it's there. It's sort of, yeah, I appreciate the question. I think it's really an important one. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 3x5 card at my desk, the
Well,
classic.
this might be the beginning of joy, happiness, and truth. It may be even the subtitle of your memoir. Who knows? But here's what I see is like there's actually this could be a beginning journey with those three words in a way where you are powerful, you say no to limitations, and you actually connect to what matters most to you.
Yeah, I thank you for that gift, Edwin. Yep, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Neil, for your time here. I'm not sure you're aware of the gift you've been to us, but it's I can just feel the waves of it. So thank you very much for our time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for the
Thanks,
opportunity.
Neil.
Thank you, Neil, for bringing such a rich, real, vulnerable topic. And this is what we're talking about, this is what we do in the land of coactive. We don't role play, we real play, we show up with what's present. So you got to witness this coaching. Neil, there's some acknowledgments and things coming at you in the chat. What I'd love to know from those observing, pop in the chat a few of the skills that you saw Edwin use, and just pop them in randomly, and then we will go over them and see what we can underscore and articulate for you. There, Edwin demonstrated a lot of coactive skills. Yeah, so being fully present without sorry, I lost the word there. There was a full presence, right? No agenda. And yet there was a little agenda. The agenda was fully the client's, which was to get some clarity around how to be and what to do with respect to this circumstance in his life, right? And Edwin held that without adding any of his own experience or opinion into the mix. Also did a lovely job of mirroring, right? There was, in addition to mirroring, I'm not sure how many of you saw this. I haven't yet gone all the way through the chat. There was a way that Edwin was fully connected with Neil, like right here, fully connected, fully present, this moment. And in fact, that was a question that Edwin kept articulating. What's here now? A couple moments go by. What's here in this moment? What's here in this moment? This is actually, it's funny because at the very beginning, Edwin, you referenced process as one of our courses, the process module. And that's a process coaching skill. This moment, right here, what's here? And Edwin used it beautifully. Yes, lots of listening. In coactive coaching, we talk about 3 different levels of listening. Level 1, which is all about me. Level 2, which is a hard focus on whoever's right in front of me. And then level 3, which is like that global listening. It's a soft focus on everything that's happening in the space. And Edwin, as coach, stuck really clearly in levels 2 and 3, right? Kept his level 1 out of it. It was all about Neil and what might be happening in the space. And that level 3, we saw a lot of in like the use of intuition, the use of reflecting back. You know, I noticed this is happening, Neil, or I sense this, what's happening for you. That's a level 3 listening skill. Reflecting things back, playing back what was observed, right? Lots of listening here. And yes, acknowledgement, acknowledging Neil right where he was in any given moment. You know, Neil, I'm seeing this. Neil, you've made this shift. Neil, you know, I want to acknowledge you for being vulnerable. And I don't know if you see it, but you're like a beacon for people around you who are going through the same thing. These are powerful acknowledgements that Edwin used. Yeah. Very much dancing in this moment. And yes, Grace, open-ended questions. You know, the purpose of questioning our client is not for us to get information as coach. This is a really important distinction. The questions we ask as coactive coaches are intended to have our clients discern, learn, gain some information that they don't have already. Edwin was not asking Neil questions to have him repeat the story. Neil's real familiar with the story. He doesn't need to do that. Edwin's questions were all about having Neil gain some new information. Where does this live in your body? What does that feel like? You know, what happens if you move it away? This is all stuff that I assert Neil hasn't quite thought about yet. And so it gives him more information. And then, yes, the use of the body. Edwin was really skilled at, even as Edwin stayed in his spot, there was a way that he was mirroring what Neil was doing, inviting him into movements and then doing those with him. Noticing, reflecting back what happened for Neil. I noticed you got a little lighter there. What's that? You know, full presence. Full presence. Yeah. Edwin, what would you add? What was it like for you?
Well, just to be honest, I'm kind of still in the swirl
You're
of it
still
a
in the
little
swirl.
bit.
You
So
hang out in the swirl. I'll
process.
keep going.
Well, no, I can talk a little bit though.
Yeah.
You know, first is we talk about in collective coaching around self-management. And Gail highlighted, like, I wasn't asking questions to find out details about what happened to his family and what about how many houses, where are the houses, how much money is, I mean, you know, like, I could have been triggered in so many ways to ask all these different questions. My focus is just on Neil.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I thought, oh, my dad. And I was like, no, back to Neil. Like, there
Yeah.
are things happening that I'm managing in the background because the most important and only important thing in that time was Neil. I didn't know where we were going, where we started, where we ended. But you can tell Neil came in already with a bunch of presence and a lot of like personal power. It's like, wow, let's go.
Yeah.
And sometimes being in that power is just to sit in it. And you notice the slowing down was my first entry point of, oh, we need to give a little bit more space so that the client and myself can be more present to what's really trying to happen here and what emotions really present to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lovely moment right at the end, Edwin, where you brought it back. It's like you had been in this process, you had done this whole bit with Neil, and then brought it back to, okay, so now if Joy and happiness and truth were more present, now what becomes possible with respect to this topic that you brought, right? It can be really easy to think that we've gone down a different path, but it's like looping the path back to the topic that Neil mentioned at the beginning. You came with this topic. If you turned up the dial on this and turned down the dial on this, now what's possible, right? Beautiful, beautiful linking of how this goes together.
Well, I'm seeing a great question in the chat box from Adam. How, if at all, would you modify the coaching process for a corporate leadership or executive coaching session? That could have been a corporate leadership coaching session. And I'm being fully transparent. We work in corporations in such a high-paced energy field. We are not slowing down. We are not stopping. And we are definitely not talking about emotions and what's going on. I've had similar situations in corporate situations, and maybe there's a little bit more of application of how will they show up in a work differently or things like that. But the same type of coaching can live in that. Of course, we have to build relationship and trust, but this could have been really just in a similar format. I don't know if Gail, if you're of the same vein of that as well.
Absolutely. It's, when I think back to my early days of coaching, I certainly had a belief that lived in me that there's no way I could do, emotions-based coaching with my corporate clients. And what I've learned after doing 20 years of coaching with leaders and their teams is not only can I do it, often it's exactly what they're wanting and needing. So this becomes part of the Designed Alliance. I would never, go into a corporate session without doing some design around it. So client, there may be times where emotions get present. Here's how I'd like to work with it. And what do you need to make that safe or comfortable? What do we need to know? Those all become part of the design. But for me, I need to remember and remind myself that my corporate clients are human beings like anybody else. And they've got emotions and experiences and things that are hard to be with, and we just be with all of it. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to invite Neil back up. Just to Neil, if you would like to speak about the breakthrough with movement, or anything that you're just percolating with now that we're at the end of the coaching.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I was contributing to the chat as things were bubbling up for me. And so, it's sweet that I have an opportunity to also contribute. I think I probably touched on the big ones. I mean, definitely the invitation to use my body. I've known this before. I could have reminded you, we didn't do that much of a Designed Alliance. So that was just massive. And let's see, what else did I put in here, Edwin? I prompted by your reflection of catching me going at quite a pace at the beginning. I'm kind of looking back and thinking, wow, yes, I was kind of loaded and sort of too ready in quotes, judgment. But just that I thought was also just, thank you so much. That's exactly what was needed in that moment. For me, just to sort of, again, have a moment where I was sort of clearing the speed and all the busyness at the beginning in order to, it was another version of peeling that a layer off of the onion, right? But my own onion. So I could kind of see myself and feel myself and hear myself better. So those are it's just a repeat of what I said in chat, but a little bit of augmentation. And then, and I'm also taking away, and I've been scribbling a little bit here about, what a few minutes ago felt like a little bit of, I don't understand what that means to codified joy, happiness, and truth. And so that's still sort of swirling in my mind about how to make better use of this moment with you, because I want that.
It's funny, as you're talking, Neil, I can see you doing that. I don't know if you go outside and walk in silence for 15 minutes, you journal, you do whatever it is, hold a picture of your dad and just think about these 3 amazing, powerful words. I actually wrote down these words. I'm like, I could probably use some connection to joy, happiness, and truth, but it's actually very powerful and poetic. So make whatever meaning of it that best suits you and serves you, and make it real. There's no wrong way to do that.
Yeah, thank you for that assertion.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And I notice, I'm aware that we have a question in the Q&A. Before we get there, I just want to underscore, you know, at the very end, when Edwin offered a question and a request to Neil, it was yes, no, or counter offer, right? Neil gets to decide. This is not, Edwin's not forcing Neil to do anything. Edwin's not in charge. It is, it's all about Neil. And Neil gets to say, yes, I'll do it. No, I won't. Or I believe at one point, Neil was like, I'm not really sure what to do. And notice this was a moment where Edwin sat in silence with that. And as Neil talked it through, he's like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could put it in my calendar. Oh, I could put it on a 3x5 card. For somebody who didn't know what to do with it, he sure came up with a lot of things. And so this is the other thing we do with our clients is we allow them to be in the not knowing for a little bit.
Yeah. So
that they can get to knowing, and their knowing is what matters, not Edwin's. It's theirs. There was a question in the Q&A from Teresa. Can you be certain types of coaches? Yes, absolutely. You can be a niche coach. And here's my take, and Edwin, I'll be curious to hear yours. So I consider myself a leadership coach. There's some skills and some experience and expertise I bring. When I'm with my clients, I'm coaching them. I'm not sharing my expertise unless they ask for it. And then I will bring it in. But I also design that right up front, that when I'm coaching you, I'm asking questions. If there's answers you are wanting, we can do that towards the end, but I actually assert that you've got a lot of what you need. So there's a bit of a blend that happens there. What would you say, Edwin?
Yeah, perfect, spot on. I mean, in theory, the way we're coaching you in Coactive, which is a really high standard of coaching, you can coach anyone, because we believe that CEOs have emotions, kids have emotions, 27-year-old divorcees have emotions. I mean, and situations they want betterment in. So there's something very human in the approach to Coactive that it can apply to anyone. Of course, on a business marketing side, you may want to have a niche, so the world knows who to send to you in a specialist kind of way. That's probably a good idea in terms of building your business in that capacity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, are there any other questions that want to get asked? I think we probably have time for one.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Susan, you can come on board here. There's a question here. Who can I reach out to for support with the enrollment and planning for my course schedule? So we'll invite Susan on stage. There you go.
Hi, thank you for inviting me up here. Yeah, so you're welcome. There's two ways that you can go about this. I think if you're actually decided and you know you just need some help in getting enrolled into the courses that you want, you can reach out to service@coactive.com. So I'll put that into the chat, and you'll have and they'll reach out to you within a couple of days, or you can actually schedule a call as well. So I'll put those two links in the chat so that you can grab them. And you could also just go to the Contact Us form on our website and schedule a call from there. So that's probably the best way. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this call, and we hope you all have a wonderful holiday break.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thank you all for being here. All the best for a wonderful holiday. We'll see you somewhere in the Coactive space. I imagine
we may see you in Zoom or in person. If you have questions about that, to engage with customer service. They may help you find the best option for you based on what you're wanting to get out of the Coactive training experience. So we see your question, Ying. Feel free to reach out to customer service. That might be the best way in that way. And any preference for any modules? Not really. I mean, they're all extremely powerful. You will grow as a person, as a human, as a result of these. And they all kind of have the sense of embodiment. They're experiential. So you'll be on your feet a lot. So we recommend any in that capacity.
And they do follow a sequence. So it's like you would start at fundamentals and then work your way through in whatever.
Yeah, and we see Shashanka The call option isn't available to January 10th. CTI does close during the holidays, so that's why that's posted there. So there may be a little bit of a hold off there as we take time into the new year to really work on our organization and also rest. So important in that way, but hopefully you can schedule calls early as you can.
Thank you all for being here.
All right. Thanks,
Be
everyone. Take
well.
care. Bye-bye.